Hello, welcome back to another episode of Inspector Lander. Today we're looking at a webinar registration page from Foundr, and I'm really excited about this one because this is a beautifully executed page. And if you do any kind of work with webinar funnels, whether that's building them, whether that's writing copy for them, whether that's running traffic to them, there are a ton of takeaways that you can get from this. All right, so let's dive in. Starting off, we've got obviously the brand logo. They've got a really clean timer here, which I really like above the fold, like right above the fold versus, first thing you hit the page. And even have a kind of like a pre-CTA here, which again, I love. The subhead reads, brand new, exclusive free training reveals. And then the headline says, how to go from 0 to 500K plus followers in 12 months. So there's no subhead. I got a little live chat bubble here. So looking at our criteria here to evaluate the header, is it unique? I think brand new and exclusive definitely evoke that sentiment, but there's nothing else in there in terms of a unique mechanism really to kind of evoke that sense. So, I would say 5 out of 10 there. Is it useful? Absolutely. I mean, anyone who's trying to build an audience on social media is interested in going from 0 to 500K plus. Like that's a massive result, right? That's a massive audience. So absolutely. Is it urgent? No, not really. Like they've purposely gone in the other direction with the timeline where, instead of saying 90 days, they're promising 12 months. And that's much more believable, right? Much more credible. And therefore much less likely to trigger any skepticism in the prospect, right? With the outcome that they're promising. However, this timer, though, also creates some urgency as it relates to the presentation, right? Which I think is really, really well done. Lastly, is it ultra specific? The one thing that I think is missing here from this headline is the platform, right? And now, so it doesn't say what platform the followers are going to be on, right? And so you might think that this is, hey, like some broader approach that isn't platform specific, but it is. And it should also be noted that all the ads that are driving to this page, they all talk about Instagram, and the video here as well talks about Instagram, right? So again, it's not in the headline, but I think ultimately that's fine. And so lastly, does this clearly communicate the promise? Absolutely. I mean, it's a basic how-to framework that they're using, and so it's like how to achieve desired results in time frame, right? That's the framework. So super clear. Next, we're going to look at the page speed. And so I ran through Pingdom here, and you can see it came in at 1.25 seconds, which is blazing fast, right? So that's awesome. Love to see that. Next, we get into the video here. So I'm just going to mute the volume. It's already muted. So it's a super smooth video. The production quality on this is really, really high. There's lots of cuts. There's lots of kind of different clips. There's like direct to camera. There's B-roll, other kind of stuff, images, right? Animations, super, super engaging, really professionally, done. There's no captions, right? So that's the one knock I would give it. But there is copy that does appear on the page, right? So I think ultimately this is a really effective video, and it's interesting because the content of what he's saying is very no fluff. It's not hypey, it's not over the top, it's not sensational. And so it's a nice counterbalance to the incredible promise that they're making in the headline, and then also in the subsequent testimonials, which we'll look at shortly. There are some incredible results, right? And so it's a nice counterbalance to have this video be very kind of no fluff and just very sort of, there's really no hypey promises in here. So again, I really, really like that. There's also a really interesting tactic that I want to call your attention to because I've actually never seen this before, and I think it's really interesting. So at the end of this video, which is only like about 90 seconds, they have a CTA to go and buy the course, which is really interesting. So I'd love to know what the numbers look like on this, like how many people, how much traffic they actually get to this page, because I'm sure that's a unique link so that they're able to track, how many people are coming from that. And it's really interesting because there's always a segment of the market, especially in this kind of entrepreneur, creator, personal brand type market, where there's a segment of people who are just too busy, right? So they're interested in the promise, they're interested in the product, but they don't want to watch a webinar. They don't have time, right? So this idea that they can see an ad, if they find it compelling, they watch this video, boom, they can just go right to buying the course, right? As opposed to having to carve out 2 hours to wait to like get the link to buy this course. Really, really interesting. Now, the potential trade-off there, is, I would expect refund rates to be higher and completion rates to be lower because they're not as emotionally invested in the course, right? One of the reasons why webinars work so well is because of that investment, right? When you spend 60, 90, 2 hours listening to someone tell their story and reveal how their method works, and then, transition into pitching a product, there's an emotional buy-in that happens, right? If you watch that from start to finish. And so, I'd be really interested to know, sort of how that trade-off plays out. But anyway, really, really interesting tactic, and something that I would love to test with a client for sure. Next, we'll look at the mobile view. So we're just going to use our developer tools here. So we're just going to click on this. We're going to click on this, and I'm just going to shuffle my thing over here. So as you can see, it looks beautiful on mobile. So it's a little different, right? They still have this timer here, but it sort of changes. We still got the brand logo here. There's no pre-CTA, but you can see this all still appears above the fold really nicely. The testimonials look great. Like it's a super clean page and really beautifully designed. All right, so I'm gonna pop that back up here. Lastly, we have the CTAs, which again are super engaging. The red here, it does really contrast, unlike a lot of the other pages that we've looked at. I'm just gonna slide back over here. Sometimes it's tempting to choose a color that aligns with kind of your branding, right, and the brand color that's on the page. But this red here, it really pops, right? Like it really does stick out. And on top of that, they have a really nice animation here, right? Super eye-catching. Like the arrow moves when you take your mouse off of it, right, or put it on, and it's got this kind of like a beating heart kind of animation. Super, super interesting. Very enticing copy, right? Super simple. Again, written in that first person from the prospect's point of view, which again, if you've watched any of our past episodes, that's the best practice, right? That's the way it's usually done. So yes, show me how. I think that's great. Moving on below the fold, there are no typical sort of standard like credibility badges. However, these testimonials that they have, right? So there's 4 beautiful testimonials right above the fold, like beautifully formatted, right? Great headshot. They got this like cool little profile, the circle behind. The testimonials format really nice. There's a bolded part, right? So that there's added emphasis, calling your attention to specific things. They've got their title, they've got all their accolades, they've got their company name and logo, right? So this is a great example of a way to kind of create credibility with social proof, which those two things are not always the same thing. But this is executed really, really well because these are all really big names within the industry. So yeah, definitely carries a lot of weight. Moving on, we look at the product info, and so with webinars, like with any information product or information-based offer, what we're looking for here are the curiosity bullets, right? And these are solid. They're well written. We get the Instagram domination method, the secret method that enabled Foundr to generate 500K followers in 12 months. We get the bio formula, how to generate over 20,000 clicks to your website in 1 month. We get some great fascinations, right? Some great things that are teased, right? Some reveals that are going to happen as soon as we watch the webinar, right? So overall, really well done. Some great proof and results sprinkled in. So overall, really, really nice. Next, we'll look at social proof here. So there is some great social proof down here. So don't just take our word for it. We have 4 other video testimonials. And again, these are executed so well because not only do we just get a video, right? We get sort of the result. What did they get, right? The desired outcome that they achieved. And, then we get this nice, again, professionally done, like really nice production quality on all this kind of stuff. We get some branding here, right? So Instagram domination, like that's the name of the course, right? So you're seeing it even, as you're watching a testimonial. So anyway, top marks here, really, really done. Really, really well done. Lastly, yeah, so CTAs, again, I always want to look at sort of the other CTAs. Let's just take a look and see. Oh yeah, so instead of going to another page to sign up, obviously this is just a pop, but this looks really nice. Also really clean. We get the timer. Super nice. There's no FAQ present on this page, but that's typical for webinars, right? Like, in a lot of cases, especially with a webinar, like you're looking to just get the registration, and because it's free, you don't want to give someone too much information, right? You don't want to give them a reason to think that it's not for them. And having an FAQ on a webinar page would definitely be overkill. So not surprised that that's not there. And then as far as the offer, obviously there's it's a free webinar, right? So we're not going to sort of look at it from that perspective because again we're just looking for a free registration. So Anyway, all this to say, beautifully executed page. Like I say, if you do any kind of work with webinars, I would study this closely. I would add this to your swipe file. I certainly did. I think it's an awesome page. So anyway, that wraps up this episode of Inspector Lander. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.